Hello everyone, I hope you well. Once again, welcome to Let's Talk More with Romail Gulzar. Today my studio guest is Joe Tallack, responsible for multi-million pound shopping centre heart of Leicester. Let's find out more. Stay tuned. Let's talk more with Romail Gulzar. Joe, welcome to Let's Talk More. Tell us a bit about how you're doing.
Well, it's been a bumper ride, hasn't it, recently? So doing really well though. So managing Highcross, and the last year has, everyone's experienced, hasn't it? But for Leicester folk, it's been harder than others. And I'll be completely honest. There were times where I thought, "Can I do this?" Because I lead quite a large team, and it's, how do you stay strong and take people through the journey? But we're out the other end now, hopefully, and exciting times ahead. But can't deny it's been really tough, but we're here. It's the main thing.
Joe Tallack's a very well-known name to Leicester and Leicestershire, but people don't know, Joe, where you born, brought up, where you come from, how you ended in Leicester. Please tell us a bit about where you born, when you grew up.
It's quite an interesting story. I was born in Somerset, a tiny little hamlet in Somerset. And grew up around the Taunton area. And my parents moved around quite a bit when I was younger, so lots of different schools, which was quite challenging in itself. But I've always lived on the south coast. So I got married to my husband, John, 24 years ago. He'll mock me for not being able to say exactly when that was. And again, we've always lived on the south coast, whether it's in Dorset or East Sussex, and absolutely love being by the sea. Absolutely love it. But then the opportunity came along. I was working in a shopping centre on the south coast in Southampton for the same company that I work for now, Hammerson. And the opportunity came along for Highcross. Highcross was just about to start the build. And basically, my line manager at the time said, "Actually, I think that's a really good opportunity for you. It will stretch you, you'll learn new skills. I think you should apply." So I had a conversation with my husband and said, "How do you feel about moving to the Midlands?" Having always lived on the coast. And he is incredibly supportive of my career. And he just basically said, "Let's do it. Let's go and find out what Leicestershire's like and Leicester's like. Make the decision once we've done a few trips." So we sort of travelled up and down, did a few weekends away, absolutely loved it. Love Leicestershire, so green and feels really healthy. The air feels really healthy and people were lovely, felt really welcomed. We just said, we're going to do it. So we sold up from Dorset, moved up here, and that was 13 years ago.
That's quite a big change from Hampshire's water is just around the corner, as you say, it's harbour. But now in Midlands, no water. How are you coping that?
Well, you say that, but actually there's some lovely places where there are lakes and rivers and canals. So I may not be by the sea, but actually there's loads of places to explore. So yeah, people say, well, it's landlocked. There's nothing in Leicester or Leicestershire. There's loads. We're still discovering new parts now. So I actually promised when we moved here that we would stay for 5 years. I'd advance my career, launch Highcross, get settled, and then we'd move back down. 13 years later, we're still here because I love it so much. And John loves it as well. So we feel really at home here.
If I ask you in one line, how you can describe your love of Leicester?
It's the people. It's people. The people who, having moved around the country quite a bit, but on the south coast, I have never felt so welcome as I have in Leicester. And I actually like the diversity. I like working and getting to know and building those relationships with new and interesting people. And because of the role that I do, I'm really privileged. I get to meet lots of people. Lots of stakeholders, lots of local community. I work really closely with schools as well and the universities, and I've always felt welcomed. I've never felt that I've had to push myself in and reintroduce myself and almost justify why I'm here. There's always been that arms open approach, which is lovely.
So last few things before moving into you're responsible for the Highcross. What's your favorite food?
Well, I tried to be vegan. And I like everything raw, which really annoys my husband. But my favorite food is salad. Anything salad is I'm happiest. And I'm one of those people who I eat the same thing over and over again. I'm not very creative, but it's quite healthy.
And your favorite book?
Oh, favorite book's really difficult because if I need to escape, I'll read crime. I do like a good crime story, but I also like sort of self-help books, if you like. So one of the books I am reading at the moment, because I'm always looking at ways of how I can improve my leadership skills, is The Ideal Team Player, which is actually a really good book to read. It doesn't feel like it's academic and you're learning theory. It's actually a story about how to be a great leader. And it doesn't matter how often, how long you've been in a leadership role, there's always new techniques. So I still like to learn. I've still got a real passion for learning. So yeah, I read quite a lot of, teaching books, if you like.
Great. Joe, for over 12 months, we've been still in lockdown and we're just coming out hopefully soon. Everybody have impact in their personal life, is in a mental health, small or large. Have any impact on your personal life, this lockdown?
Yeah, absolutely. Two key things, I guess. Working from home. I really struggle working from home because I've worked throughout because Highcross has stayed open for essential retail. So it's important to keep the building breathing and to keep it safe. So although most of my team were on furlough, I was still working. But I'm one of those people who have to be surrounded by people to be inspired and innovated. I like that social contact. Working from home is incredibly difficult for me, even though my husband was home for a long part of the year as well. He was actually shielding, so he wasn't working. So he was getting annoyed that I was working. And I just found it really difficult to stay motivated and see the future, I guess, see a way out, particularly at the beginning, and really struggled with how can I lead? How can I support my retailers when I'm sitting in my dining room at home? I felt very distant from everything and really struggled with that mentally. There were a lot of down days at the beginning.
Let's talk a bit more about your day role. You're responsible for general manager at Highcross. Over the years, you have seen very highs and very low. But how do you compare, especially past 12 months at Highcross?
Well, it's been incredibly challenging because obviously particularly for in Leicester where we've opened and closed so often, because you get that real adrenaline rush when you're restarting again, you write your plan, you bring your team back, you're all really excited about reopening, be it reopening really safely. I mean, it does look very different at the moment, but at least, it's reopening. And then suddenly having to close again, it takes you from real highs to lows. And trying to keep in contact with our retailers, particularly, our restaurants, who we didn't see those teams for a long, long time. We're only just beginning to see them come back. So it's that whole trying to keep the team motivated and focused, and even on, periods of complete, lockdown when we're only open for the essential retail, is trying to keep particularly the security team who stay on site and look after Highcross. How do you keep them motivated when there aren't any customers? It's customers that motivate you. It's people coming through the door that inspire you. So if you're seeing very few, real people, if you like, it's very difficult. So there was a lot of quizzes written during that time to sort of test skills and knowledge.
Moving from Hampshire, coming to Leicester, and you feel home and you feel very welcome. I can tell from your conversation. Business across the country has been a really big impact through COVID-19. What major impact have, especially at Highcross?
So, I mean, it's been a terrible time for retail, as everyone knows. There's no denying that, and we've lost retail through this whole period. But but actually the retail we've lost have been national brands. It hasn't been because of anything that's happened in Leicester or Highcross. It's been national brands that have failed. But for us, that actually gives us a massive opportunity. So we're quite excited about the future. So because at Highcross, it's all about the experience. It's, we know people like to shop in physical stores. That's evident by the welcome that you have when you reopen. But it's that whole social engagement, the experiential, the events that you can hold. Hopefully by the end of the year, we'll be holding events again. But it's actually how we can, repurpose, I guess, our space. So Debenhams, as everyone knows, have vacated, but we've already got a plan for that space, which is really exciting. But that also challenges me because it means I have new things that I have to think about. I need to lead my team differently. It's new skills. And going back to that whole learning again, as retail evolves, that's a massive opportunity for me as well to continue to learn and evolve with it.
As you mentioned, Debenham has left, sadly. A few other businesses has gone, and especially the food trade from the Highcross look like it's despairing. Why is that? And you have any other plan?
We have very exciting plans for food. So, yes, again, if you think of the restaurants that are out in St. Peter's Square, so the outside event space, yes, we did lose a number, but they were national brands again. So at the moment, we're actually utilising that space because our restaurants can only trade outside. That's actually been to our advantage, which may sound a bit odd because it means we've got lots and lots of space. So restaurants have really been able to expand and are doing incredibly well because of that additional space. But actually the interest through the last year for more independent style food retailers is really, really strong for Leicester. So we're currently in conversations with a number of new exciting brands. And actually that's more of our approach now. It's about being local and what's right for our community. So we'll always have national brands, but actually it's going to be more of a mix as well.
What people can do to become and shop at the Highcross and be safe?
Well, safety is always first for us now. So we actually manage numbers really closely. So Highcross will never fill to the extent that it did before because we count people who come in, our customers who come in. We have a clever little app that tells us when we're getting too busy. Because for us, it's about making sure our customers always feel comfortable. But we also have a one-way system, which we do ask customers to adhere to. Face covering, obviously, is mandatory unless you're exempt. And there's sanitizer points throughout. And our security officers and our cleaning team are really, really visible to help and support where needed. And our retailers are doing exactly the same. So shopping will feel different. There's no denying it. We're asking customers not to come in groups, because then obviously, entry into shops will be challenging because they have to manage numbers as well. So there's lots of controls in place, but it's all about safety and making sure that experience is a really good one. Because, what I don't want is a customer to walk out of Highcross thinking, actually, that didn't feel safe to me and I don't want to go back. That's absolutely not what I want. So we're doing everything we can.
How many businesses forced to close and what's the plan? They're refilling that empty shops in the Highcross.
There aren't that many. If you take Debenhams out the equation and the restaurants, so we lost the Arcadia group, which for us was Topshop and Top Man, which unfortunately was a really big store unit. So, and again, it goes back to that actually, retailers, retail estates are shrinking. It's about encouraging retailers to still see Leicester as one of the prime locations. So I spend a lot of my time talking to potential retailers with my leasing team to encourage them the reasons why they should come to Leicester and why Leicester is so great. It's not just about showing off Highcross. I always take them for a tour of the city as well and point out all the really strong points that the city has, because it's really easy to do in Leicester because obviously it's quite a dense city, so you can cover quite a lot. But actually there is quite a strong demand for retailer space in Highcross. So we're just starting that process again, talking to potential retailers, because like our retailers and like my own teams, everyone was in furlough. So, legal teams, negotiators, leasing teams, no one was working throughout the last year. So it's only just starting to happen now. But we're going to fill those spaces. Without a doubt, we'll fill them.
Joe, it's quite challenging for you being a general manager at Highcross for many years, a very successful shopping mall, heart of Leicester. But what's the biggest challenge you face past 12 months?
In the last 12 months, for me, it's all about leadership and proving I can lead. Yes, there's all those concerns about actually, will you have a business to come back to? Like, every business, I'm sure, within our retail industry had the same struggles. And I was really concerned, would my business survive? But for me, it was all about being a strong leader. So despite everything going on internally and my own internal struggles, being a really strong leader on the outside. And yes, my team, I'm very honest with my team. They knew that I was feeling it as well, because I think that's really important, to be honest, and share how you really feel, but actually still being a strong leader throughout.
Past 12 months, many people shopping online, this have a negative impact on Highcross.
I think, online shopping was always there. It just became a way of life, didn't it? During lockdown, because you had no choice. If you wanted something, you bought it online. But actually, I go back to that bricks and mortar is so important. You want to be able to see what you're buying. You want to feel it. And you want that social engagement. You want to be able to ask questions rather than go onto a chat box, online or on a website. That's so important to a lot of people. And we saw the demand was there, that, the need was there. First day of opening, that was apparent that actually, yes, you could have bought that online, but actually you wanted the physical store to do it in. We're always going to be here. There's always a place for retail on the high street, without doubt.
Anything's positive or good come out from this lockdown?
I think we've learned a lot. I think we've all gained, certainly I have, you evaluate your own skills, and actually you evaluate what you want to do out of life, don't you? When you're sitting working at home, you think, actually, what's the route I want to go? What's really important to me? And clearly Highcross is really important to me, and being in Leicester is really important. But you learn lots of different skills. You bring stuff out, from your own skills, I guess, that come to the forefront. So I've learned a lot. I wouldn't want to do it again, don't get me wrong, but I think lots of positive stuff has come out of the last year as well, certainly with the way I work with my team and I work with others. There's been some good stuff, and even losing retail, there's some good stuff on the back of that, because actually Highcross is continuing to evolve, to grow and develop, and it will continue to change and be new experiences when customers come back. So yeah, there are some good things that came out of the last year.
When the 12th of April, Highcross reopened, can you describe the first day?
It's like having a party and wondering if anyone's going to turn up, because there's so much planning that you put behind it and so many stakeholders you work with, to get everything right, to ensure that you can manage, crowds and queuing and all those things. And then you open the doors and you think, is anyone going to come? Because you're on such an adrenaline high. And, luckily for us, we opened the doors and there were people waiting to come in. So that was really good. That was a bit of a relief. And it stayed like that all day. It was a really good atmosphere. And, talking to some of my retail partners, they were so excited about being back. They were in their stores dancing, laughing. They were so happy. There were all these jokes about, didn't know whether my uniform would fit anymore. I haven't put it on for nearly a year, because some of them have been on furlough for a long, long time. And it was just lovely to have everyone back in one space. Is exhausting because we're just not used to it, not used to running around everywhere and, having all those conversations and seeing customers in the mouths and having to manage that again. So the first week was actually, quite tough on us physically, but it was just, we had a party, we opened the doors and people did come.
Jo, on 12th of April, have you did your shopping when Highcross was open?
No, I didn't have time. I haven't had time to do any shopping. I haven't had time to go to the hairdressers. I haven't had time to do anything yet.
Past 12 months, especially one of them online, the bigger shop is Amazon. People have that option. Why they still have to be sitting safe at home and online?
I buy from Amazon, so, I have to be really careful. But that's a really difficult question. It's different offers, a different experiences, isn't it? So Highcross and any shopping centre, any city centre, any Highcross, it's a completely different experience to sitting at home, having no social contact. Yes, it's nice and easy sometimes, but then, the one of the reasons why I don't particularly shop online, apart from the fact, as a general manager of Highcross, it would be very wrong, is that whole delivery and having to be in that whole process. I find it, really inconvenient to have to plan that. I just believe that there is a place for Amazon, but actually there's a place for retail on the high street. So it's completely different experiences.
How confident you are in your team there's a safe place to visit and shop?
I'm very confident. We've gone through a lot of training. We work really closely with local agencies, whether it's Leicester City Council, COVID officers who we welcome into Highcross, and also the local police we work really closely with, and my retail partners. So my team are trained, we're all there, but our key ambition is that customers come back to Highcross, come back to the city centre, come back to the high street, but actually enjoy the experience. And that's what we're working really hard to achieve. It's about that whole safety in this period of time where we're in a bit of a step change. There's different things happening every month to gradually reopen us. It's, we are doing everything that we can to keep it safe.
How you can describe shopping at Highcross?
Exciting, social. There's lots of things. It fills that gap that's been there for a year, doesn't it? So suddenly you realise all those things you didn't know you need. So yeah, I think exciting but safe, I think, is how I would describe it.
Jo, thank you very much for your time. Pleasure to having you. Let's talk more.
It's great talking to you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for watching this episode. Let's talk more with Romail Gulzar. As Jo Tallack said, safe to visit Highcross. Please visit and support the local businesses, support local economy. I will be back next week with a new guest. Stay tuned. Let's talk more with Romail Gulzar.